in the way that there is in the American.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, the black cab industry is pretty. It's pretty liked generally here. So Uber is kind of frowned upon, but the other side of it is that there used to be a much bigger Uber-like service that actually predated Uber here, and they kind of got pushed out of the market because Uber undercut them. And it was a bit of a sore subject, and they recently got bought. So,
well, the biggest thing about the black cabs in London was that they actually were not horrifyingly shitty experiences. Like
no, they're actually kind of cool.
They're really good. No. It's one of these things, like the TfL, the regulator, one of the big things is they make the cabbies go through this incredibly rigorous training schedule. They have to literally memorize every street in London and memorize every possible route to those streets. So when you get in a cab, they don't need GPS. They don't need anything. You just tell them where you want to go, and they
know where to go.
You know, it's funny. Whenever I come home, my home airport is LAX, and I don't live that far from LAX, but sometimes when I'm just like, I just feel like getting in the first, car that can get me there, I get in the taxi line, and it always sort of like blows my mind where I'll say like, oh yeah, I'm going here. At this street and this street in Venice. And they're like, okay. And Uber people are like, if I don't have GPS, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yep.
It's like, wow, some people actually know where they are.
I had the opposite situation in Vegas 2 weekends ago when I would just get into the cab line and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to this place. And they were like,
what place?
No idea. If it wasn't on the strip, they were totally clueless. And I wound up having to look it up on my GPS. And it was just like,
that's not good.
This is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Justin, I also threw in a silly location for you in your intro, which you can
that's fine.
Change.
All right.
I am in the middle of a tsunami evacuation zone.
You are. I am. No,
there's posted signs all around me.
There's not a tsunami right now. Don't worry, everyone.
Don't panic. Sammy, you want to be on the show? He's probably not going to have anything to say.
People are gonna hear you say that and go, oh, "There's a tsunami. You should get out."
Right? Yeah. Wait, there's a tsunami in Los Angeles?
We're not saying
they have signs that are, I guess, supposed to be helpful when you're panicking in order to get yourself to higher ground. It's like, it'd be really like the tsunami is going to get you way before you're able to like follow the street signs, but whatever.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
By the way, have you got a link for the live stream so Kate can listen in the other room?
She will be able to find it at dailytechnewsshow.com/live or diamondclub.tv.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Oh, Daily Tech News Show /live. That's a good one.
Which is updated every day by Rogers.
Yes. It's being updated as we speak.
For your enjoyment. All right, here we go. 3, 2.
A Nicholas Show keeps you in the know. If you'd like to find out more, please go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support and find out how to keep us on the air. Thank you.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, October 5th, 2017. From our headquarters in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from a tsunami evacuation zone at Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And a long throw from left field's distance to the future home of the Oakland A's, I'm Justin Robert Young.
Also joining us from somewhere in merry old England is Mr. Nate Lanxon of Bloomberg. How's it going, Nate?
I'm very well, thank you, Tom. Yes, Hertfordshire specifically, a lovely town called Broxbourne where I now live.
Spelled with an E, though, Hertfordshire, right?
Hertfordshire, H-E-R-T,
yes. Obviously. Yeah. And as always, DTNS producer Roger Chang is alongside as well.
Hello, I'm here.
Let's start with a few tech things you should know. Celebrating IBM's announcement of the ThinkPad on October 5th, 1992, current ThinkPad maker Lenovo released the ThinkPad 25. It combines the classic design of the original ThinkPad, red nub and all, blue return key, and the modern hardware of Intel processors, based on the T470 model, if you want to know. Pricing starts at $1,899.
Wu-Tang Clan member Ghostface Killah is now raising $30 million through an initial coin offering, or ICO, for a new cryptocurrency firm he has co-founded called Cream Capital, which could be integrated into debit cards soon. Hold on to your hats, guys, because Cream is shorthand for crypto rules everything around me, which is the most wonderful news I've heard in a pretty terrible news week.
Tony Stark. Facebook is officially rolling out a feature it tested in Portugal last month that lets users of Instagram stories cross-post to Facebook stories. Facebook has not yet allowed Facebook stories to be posted to Instagram stories. However,
that's because people use Instagram stories. All right, here's some more top stories. Wall Street Journal has sources who say Russian government agents copied information from an NSA contractor's home computer in 2015. So that classified information shouldn't have been there, but it was, by exploiting vulnerabilities in Kaspersky antivirus. The information pertained to the NSA's methods of network penetration, as well as defense of its own networks. The incident was discovered in the spring of 2016, according to the journal. DTNS listener MB noted that Google's Tavis Ormandy identified vulnerabilities in Kaspersky software in 2015. So it could be these are the same vulnerabilities that were exploited. Last month, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security directed all federal agencies to stop using Kaspersky software within 90 days. And now we think this could be why. If this is correct, it's not that Kaspersky was cooperating necessarily. It's just they had vulnerabilities that were exploited. You can do the math yourself if you want to connect the dots between Kaspersky and Russia, but there wouldn't need to be collusion for this to be a concern.
Speaking of concern, it's time to panic, everybody, because Netflix is raising subscription prices for U.S. subscribers starting today. The lowest tier plan is actually going to stay at $7.99 per month, but the standard plan that supports HD and 2 simultaneous streams, and it's also the most popular plan, most people have that, jumps from $9.99 to $10.99 per month. The highest tier plan, which supports 4K video resolution and 4 simultaneous streams, jumps $2 from $11.99 to $13.99. Current subscribers will start being notified on October 19th, and it will take effect in your next billing cycle if it applies to you.
I don't know about y'all, but I was watching the reaction in our Slack about this, and it was, I can't believe they're raising the prices, but it's still probably worth it because I totally watch it a lot.
Yeah. Also of note, Netflix is going to spend $7 billion, I believe, on original.
I think it might be 8 next year. Yeah.
$8 billion next year on original programming. So that's pretty much where this is going from. Although that does not stop it from being a national panic.
Yeah, well, it's actually an international panic because they're raising the price here as well. So the top tier plan's going up about £1 a month. So yeah, they're funneling that $8 billion from, I think, global pockets, I'm guessing. Yeah.
I'm sure the price increases are not limited to the US. How much is a pound these days? I need to know, actually.
About $1. It used to be about 50 cents, but it's close to the dollar now.
Man, it's going to feel really cheap when I come there.
$1.31 is the current exchange rate.
Is it? Wow. Okay.
Well,
Really? Wow.
That's still low, but it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah. Sorry, I misspoke before. I thought it was $2 to the pound, not 50 cents.
Yeah. So anybody thinking this will hurt Netflix? Remember the last time they announced a price increase, it was the first price increase, and they actually did see a leveling off of subscriber growth at that point.
You know, Justin and I were talking about this earlier on his Twitch stream when we were just kind of kicking around the idea of Netflix and popularity. And to me, it's like, listen, if you break this out over a month, which we're used to doing here on DTNS because it's sort of a Patreon model that we remind people, it's like 5 cents a day for $1, not a huge deal. Then again, I have a lot of credit card debt. So, I mean, if you want to, save your pennies, then yeah, if you're on a specific budget, then no, you don't want your service to go up. At the same time, if they're investing in new programming that you're hopefully going to like down the road, then that's how they do it.
Well, yeah, and also we are watching less and less on the ways that we used to pay for it. It would make sense that the places that we are watching more and more would begin to charge more and more as they continue to cater to our whims. All of this
and smart
will happen again.
Not the most price-sensitive people are the people at $7.99, right? That doesn't get you HD, and the only reason you get that plan is you're like, I have to have Netflix, but I just can't afford more than $8 a month. They're not touching those people because those will be the people that will scream the loudest. Instead, they're going, well, you could already afford $9 or $11.99 a month. you know, you were less likely to budge.
Yeah. Well, sources tell Bloomberg that Amazon is testing a new delivery service in the U.S. called Seller Flex in order to make more products available for 2-day delivery and free up more space in its warehouses. The service is already running in India and is said to be in trial basis in West Coast states with a broader rollout planned in 2018.
So this is a tricky story here because this isn't about delivery to your home. We had a few people say, well, wait a minute. I've seen people drive up and deliver stuff that weren't from UPS. Some of them even had Amazon magnets on their vans or their trucks. Amazon does operate its own thing called Amazon Flex. That's not what this is. This is, instead of you as a seller having to put it in the box and go to pick FedEx or UPS to send it, Amazon's going to take it from you. So before now, it was you either have Amazon stored in their own warehouses or you handle the shipping yourself if you're selling through Amazon. Now Amazon's going to handle part of the leg. They may still then hand it over in bulk to FedEx and UPS to deliver, but they don't have to. They can pick whichever is best for them.
You know, I know there's a lot of talk about, is Amazon really, dipping into the FedEx and UPS, partner program that has worked so well, more so than they have been initially. And it sounds like what ends up happening a lot of times is that things just start piling up in warehouses. Amazon wants to move some merch. So however they can do that, this makes perfect sense. And they also aren't beholden to these partner shipping companies anyway.
Yeah, they want to control that cost as well, for sure.
Yeah. And furthermore, this is one of those questions where does it make sense for Amazon to buy one of these companies, to buy a FedEx or a UPS? And this is them saying, well, why? Our biggest thing is logistics. They are the dumb pipe that gets things to you. We just need to figure out which of the dumb pipe we need to deal with.
James Thatcher, who works in the logistics industry, said he thinks it's brilliant that they're an NVOCC and can sell additional ocean container space that they contract. That's a genius move and one that really doesn't get enough praise from the shipping community. On top of that, they're leasing planes. I mean, they don't need to buy UPS or FedEx, right, Nate?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is what I find interesting about a story that concerns Amazon, because in the US, obviously, your land space is so much bigger than we have in the UK. You've got states bigger than the UK. Over here, I mean, Amazon has something called Amazon Logistics, which is a delivery. It's a courier service. And most of the parcels that I get from Amazon arrive from an Amazon delivery driver. It's not FedEx. It's not UPS. It's nothing like that. It's an Amazon branded delivery service. So I'm wondering how this is different. Is this just different because obviously the space they've got to cover is so much bigger in the US, or is it is it somewhere in between?
Yeah, probably. It's probably different in different markets. I'd be curious to know if Amazon Logistics in the UK picks up from the seller, or if that is only for the things that are stored in the Amazon warehouses, or if it's just the entire thing works differently.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Amazon stores everything in its own warehouses over here. So, you can either sell directly yourself, but if it's marked as fulfilled by Amazon, then it's because it's stored in Amazon's warehouse and Amazon will ship it with their own logistics company, or they will partner with others for bigger products like television.
So Amazon stuff never comes through the post?
Some stuff comes through the post, but it's very, very rare these days that I see anything that's got a Royal Mail stamp on it. It's almost all marked Amazon Logistics.
Well, Microsoft is releasing test versions of its Edge browser for iOS and Android. These are test versions, so you'd have to go to Apple's test flight to get the one for iOS. You can get the other one as a test through Google Play. Users will need Windows 10 Insider builds of the Autumn Creators Update to take advantage of features like Continue on PC. That'll let you push a page from your mobile version of Edge to the Windows version of Edge. Users will also be able to access favorites, history, reading list, and ebooks across the versions. However, it doesn't sync your tabs yet. Release for all users is expected by the end of the year. So I know people on the Windows Insider may run out to try this out. Anybody excited for this to come to the masses?
I mean, I'll try it out just because I like to look at mobile browsers, but I use mobile Chrome. every once in a while, an app opens Safari on me, and that's fine too. But yeah, I feel like unless you are Edge faithful already on the desktop, I don't know how many people are going to be downloading this.
I'm excited about it because the difference between iOS and Android for a lot of these third-party browsers is that on iOS, they have to use the Safari plugin framework. So you're basically just using Safari, but wrapped in a container that syncs your bookmarks and things with Chrome. Whereas on Android, there's a lot more freedom there. And so there's a lot more potential, I think, for the Edge browser to be a much better browser than other browsers on Android than maybe it has the potential to be on iOS.
I don't know if browsers are what they are on mobile, or sorry, on mobile that they are on desktop. I think desktop, this is for whatever reason, there's a lot more identity in your life. I think bookmarks are a little bit more of an easy to click on kind of thing. Their extensions play a lot larger of a role on mobile. It just kind of seems like there's a reason why so many apps have gotten away with just doing the roll your own little dirt dumb browsers, because I don't know if our utility in terms of mobile browsing is something that we really care about all that much.
Well, moving on. Yesterday we had a big Pixel event with Google. 2 Pixel phones announced. We talked about that yesterday. In a blog post for the event, the company announced a new accessory hardware certification program called Made for Google. So accessories will be individually tested by Google itself to earn this badge of honor, although specific hardware requirements for cables and cases and headphones not yet disclosed. Made for Google launch partners include Anker, Monster, OtterBox, and Belkin.
Another flag on the road to being more Apple-like with their hardware strategy is having a certification program for third parties.
Yep.
How long before we get Google stores in the mall?
I'm flabbergasted that they don't exist already.
Well, part of it is that they don't have the same kind of lineup. I think the more that they take their hardware seriously, the more that they are going to see themselves walking down these same roads. That it's just going to make more sense to sell them directly, as long as you can afford to take out the retail space. The question is, if you are doing this in 2017, how much of a footprint do you need these days in a world where everything is shipped to you so fast? Do you need to be in a mall? Will malls exist in 5 years? Right? These are a lot of things that Apple.
Please don't tell me malls are going away, Justin. It's the only thing I love that's left.
Well, I'm just saying. I think it's just a very interesting question as to, what is the smart way to do things if you are starting today?
Yeah, and I can actually tell you, Google does have some stores here in London. It opened at least one, I think, about 2 years ago, in very close to where Apple's store is on Regent Street. And I know there were plans to open a couple more. I don't know if they actually did, but they were basically there so that people could walk into a shop looking to buy a computer of some kind or a device of some kind. But then there was kind of like a Google shop within the shop for some of these ones that they did. So they've certainly experimented with it, at least in a light touch sort of way.
Interesting. I'll have to go check that out. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com, which you can get as a podcast. You can also get it on the Amazon Echo as a flash briefing, in the Anchor app, and through the Anchor app on Google Home. That's dailytechheadlines.com. And that is a look at our top stories. Now, I'm going to England tomorrow. As part of my advised travel by Mr. Nate Lanxon, I will be hailing an Uber at some point, even though Uber doesn't have a license, but they're allowed to continue to operate while they're appealing. Sarah, we got to take advantage of the fact that we have someone whose feet are on the ground in London, or at least Hertfordshire.
It's so true. And it's great timing, actually, because we got some interesting data today from Uber, which, as you mentioned, had its license revoked by Transport for London in the city. That was last month. Although as they go through the appeal process, which sometimes takes a really long time, they can still operate. Regulators criticize Uber for not reporting crimes, not conducting adequate background checks on drivers, trying to evade the government through a program called Greyball. I'm sure you've talked about this on DTNS in the past. Essentially, regulators say Uber not fit and proper to operate in London. Very London of them. But London is a big hub for Uber. I mean, lots of cities get a lot of attention when there's regulatory problems, but London is massive. Uber is very popular there. More than 40,000 drivers, more than 3.5 million riders who use the service at least once every 3 months. So probably a lot of them use it quite a bit more than that. The company grew London operations big time. This is for 2016. Revenue rose 36.9 million pounds, is about $49 million last year, which is up 59% over 2015. Profit before tax grew 65% to 3 million pounds. Average monthly employees, that's Uber employees, not drivers, grew to 199, which is up 90%. So they basically doubled their workforce as far as the corporate office in 2016. Now, while they appeal, it's business as usual. But I wanted to ask you, Nate, as somebody who obviously London traffic can be a little bit dismal. What's the sense from London? I mean, do people feel like, I wish they just let them keep operating, we need Uber? Or, is Uber kind of seen as a bad guy there, the way that it's certainly starting to feel like here in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, it's definitely, the consensus is generally that it's one of those things that you hate to love it. So people here have had very, very good taxi service for many, many, many years, for decades. It's been, the training that the drivers here have to go through is so rigorous that they have to literally memorize every street, every landmark in London. They have to know every possible route between those streets before they're even allowed to operate as a black cab. The fares are completely regulated. You know exactly how much you're going to pay, and there's loads of them. They are everywhere in London. So, we've been spoiled by this very, very good service, but now we get a service that is a lot cheaper, by an enormous amount. You could pay £30 for a journey in a cab to go somewhere that in Uber might be, 10 or something. It's a huge difference. So people love it, but at the same time, the service they get is very, very different. You get into a cab, you say, I want to go here. They go straight there. They don't need to think about it. If there's traffic, they can reroute really quickly. Like, they don't even have GPSs in the car. Whereas with Uber, the service is, can be spotty in terms of, how nice the driver is, and whether they know the route, or whether they ask you, do you know the best way, and all this kind of stuff. So people are generally on the fence. They're like, well, it would be great if they stuck around, but yeah, they probably should behave themselves a bit better in general. So it's very what's the word? I don't know. I can't think of the word, which is weird for a writer, but there's mixed feelings, let's say. Ambivalence, perhaps.
Can I ask you this, Nate? Because I think if this were to happen, and has happened in cities in America, the cry, not only from Uber, but also generally from the populace, is this is protectionism from the government toward the cab industry. It doesn't seem like from afar there is that rallying cry necessarily, but maybe
it was the petition that they were pushing on people. But
yeah, I mean, you push, you get 3.5 million registered users of an app, and every time they open the app, they get asked to sign a petition. They're going to sign that petition probably. But it does show that there's support for Uber, and I don't think it's so much a state thing, because they've never said that they're not going to give the license back. They basically just said, look, you need to change certain practices in order to operate here. And I actually think they will. I think they'll win. And I think Uber's new CEO has done a lot to appease some of the strongest critics over here, at least to a certain extent, by apologizing to say they have to change. But I think one of the biggest challenges they've got is that London isn't the only market that they are a controversial entity in. They have got to do something that other cities around the world are going to say, well, London did it, let's do what London did. So they're going to basically set their own little precedent by what they agree to concede in this debate, this negotiation. And I think that's, if anything, that's the biggest challenge they have. It's not keeping their license, they think they'll keep it, but it's how they keep it and how other cities will maybe force them to keep it with them as well.
Another brick in the wall, so to speak. I mean, they've set precedents in Paris. They've set precedents in Asia. They've set precedents in the United States. And here we go again, except this time it's a new guy. So it's Dara Khosrowshahi's chance to say, well, hold on, this is the kind of deal that the new Uber wants to do.
We're fit and proper now under my leadership.
Yeah, and this is the
old guys, everything wrong. Yeah, it's that's another thing about it, is like, there are a lot of things, look at them bullet pointed on paper and you go like, well, sure, they're, you know, the company seems shady, right? Not just in London, but in a lot of places. A lot of other cities could argue the same thing. But okay, well, if that's going to be the way that we judge companies, then let's start talking about a lot of the other companies operating in London.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the other thing that makes London such an interesting case is that London's Uber's second biggest market, you know, outside of the US, that is. I think it's the biggest market outside of the US. And so they've got a problem that they didn't have in some of the other cities they've had problems in across the continent, where it's actually been okay for them. Like in Spain, they pulled out of Spain for quite a long time. You know, I think a couple of years before they went back with UberX. The Uber Pop service, the carpooling thing, has been pulled from a number of markets around Europe. And Uber, for them, it's sort of been like, well, fine, if you don't want our great service, you want to stick to your crappy local system, then fine, we'll go and open up somewhere else. Whereas in London, they've got a lot more at stake, an awful lot more at stake. So I think that's why this has been treated so so strongly. And Spain, I don't know if you've...
The Austin of Europe.
Yeah. The other issue that's been really badly timed here is that the regional head of Uber for Europe, a woman called Jo Bartram, resigned the day before the CEO came over, and then somebody else raised massive questions about their taxes because Uber funnels a lot of its money through a Dutch subsidiary, which means it doesn't pay the tax on them in the UK. So they're just being attacked from all angles with bad press right now here.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and talk about this stuff in our Facebook group. We got a couple of good conversations going on in there. People talking about how they get DTNS. People talking about all kinds of topics that we mentioned on the show. Facebook.com/groups/Daily Tech News Show. Our thing of the day comes from Terry, who wrote on our Patreon blog, Tom, Sarah, and crew. I was listening to the DTNS where Scott talked about being hacked and setting up two-factor authorization. I realized myself that I only had two-factor on Google and LastPass. In setting up two-factor, I came across a great resource, twofactorauth.org. Not all sites have the easiest instructions to set up their two-factor, and this will tell you which sites offer it and how to activate it. It's a lovely looking site. It doesn't do anything for you, so it's not a security risk in that way. You're not giving it any options to help you. It's just telling you, hey, do you want to find out if your service has 2FA? Here's a place where you can find out, and we'll tell you whether it's SMS or email or a token or whatever.
It's a great idea. It reminds me of a developer who put up a site that showed you which apps were going to be supported when OS X moved from PowerPC to Intel. And there was this fantastic wiki that sort of said, this won't work, this might work, this doesn't work. And it was sort of continually updated. And this reminds me a lot of that. I think they're incredibly useful resources. And this is very well designed as well. It's a really great interface.
Cam from Newcastle, Australia wrote in describing how glasses and contacts irritate his eyes and just plain don't work for him. He writes, I had intraocular implants inserted under my corneas while awake, as well as corrective laser treatment for fine tuning. And now I live with 20/20 vision, which is fantastic. I saw the moon for the first time in my 20s and people weren't lying about the rabbit on the surface. What I'm leading to is augmented reality is going to happen, and it's going to come in many shapes and forms, but technology too often outperforms itself within too short a time. Contacts could be cool, but consumers will struggle hard. Glasses would be safer, comfortable, and cheaper. Also, I'd rather like an augmented hearing device as I'm more accustomed to listening quickly. Possibly like that Moto thing in your ear, but it could see around and respond. That would be great. Anyway, small thoughts, long email. Keep up the great work. I think I signed up to the $10 a month option. Hope it worked. Keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks. It sounds like that was surgery that really helped.
I mean, augmented reality would not make me do intraocular implants if I didn't need them. But
the most
does sound kind of cool.
Thing,
yeah,
that's so scary. I once met a guy who had one of his eyes replaced with a webcam after an accident, and
you would need some really killer app.
Yes.
Like I'm not talking about some garbage, the little hot dog man.
Oh yeah. No, this is the thing that all the kids will be getting someday, and I will not.
No.
Well, we got another email from Australia today. It's quite an Australian day. This one comes from Mike. Says, hey guys, strange place to ask for medical advice. I know, but I have just been prescribed a pacemaker. And with all the stories on DTNS about pacemaker hacking, I'm a little apprehensive about it. And I thought I'd reach out to the DTNS community for some advice. I consider myself fairly young. I'm 47. I plan on being around for a long time. So obviously I'd like to get the one that's the latest, the best pacemaker, right? Has the most features, is the most secure, is the most easily upgradable, stylish, kind of takes a back seat. If anyone has more information on what to look for or just advice or experience, I would love to hear from them. Thanks heaps for the show, says Mike. Love being a part of the community.
Yeah, CNET doesn't do co-comparisons of hearing aid devices. So I'm very curious if anybody out there does know of a good place where you can compare these things. And we're not trying to give medical advice to Mike. He's not asking for it. He's like, I just want to do some research and find out like what are the feature sets, what are the different things that I can pick for my hearing.
Yeah, you want that website, right? It's like list the pacemakers and the pros and cons so I can make a informed decision because it's going to be in my body.
Nobody wants a pacemaker that won't survive the jump from PowerPC to Intel.
So seriously, if anybody has a good resource for Mike, send it to us, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll move it along to him. And Sarah, this would make a good element in some kind of DTNS Labs thing, I think.
I agree.
Thank you, Nate Lanxon, for joining us. Of course, big congratulations. Nate is getting married this weekend. I'm so excited for you, man. This is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, in about 36 hours, something like that, I think. And, particularly honored that Tom's going to come over and be there at the wedding as well. So, very, very excited. And what was quite interesting about doing DTNS today is I had to record 2 episodes of my podcast text message ahead of time, but wanted to plug that I was on DTNS in them. So I had to record a plug for the show and how great it was before I actually did it. So I'm very pleased that everything I said about how great it was and how people should listen to it was wholly accurate, and I don't have to go and re-edit it. So
in the DTNS
can you imagine
promo,
if you would have been like, it's a great show, and then afterwards you're like, sorry. Not a great show.
In the DTNS promo I recorded, I said it was great seeing you this weekend. So I hope at the end of the weekend it'll
go.
Try not to get into a fight, guys.
Yeah. Go check out what Nate's up to at natelanxon.com or text message at techpodcast.uk.
Thank you. Yeah, please do.
Justin Robert Young, what do you got going on?
Well, first I want to wish Nate a happy wedding. And remember on your wedding day that the best part about it is the day after you're no longer planning a wedding. So the end. Everybody go ahead and check out my politics podcast, Politics. We got a bunch of really, really cool stuff. And just obviously a very intense time this week up to and including everything that's happening out in Europe. We did a little dive into the Catalonia situation out there in Spain. Europe getting frisky these days.
Another similarity to Texas in that situation. You know what? I'm not even going to lie. I think politics, and the Phileas Club are probably essential listening for anybody who actually doesn't want to just pick a team and cheer for it, but wants to try to understand what is going on here. So go check that out as well. Huge thanks to our patrons at dailytechnewsshow.com, at patreon.com/DTNS. If you want to find out all the ways to support the show, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. We are on our way to another milestone of having more roundtable shows, but because of you, we're able to have Sarah on the show. We're able to do more things, go more places. We cannot thank you enough for your support at patreon.com/DTNS.
Absolutely. And we do want to get your feedback. Any way that you'd like to give us feedback, we will hear it. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can get Daily Tech headlines there as well.
Tomorrow, both Sarah and I are out. Justin will be taking over from LA Podfest with Allison Sheridan, Jeff Kanata, and Darren Kitchen. I'll see you in London.
Woo!
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I venture to say we're getting pretty good at this show.
Yeah, that is slick. That is a
Yeah,
slick
I
production.
liked that show, guys.
Man,
That was
I'll
good
tell
fun.
you, that's a high
That
wire
was a
act.
fun show.
Thanks for having me very much. So it's been a lot of fun.
You know, it's funny because we haven't really talked about this before, and I haven't been blasting out the live version, but just so many people are used to kind of like live versions of shows. Do we prefer dailytechnewsshow.com/live? Like, do we care?
DiamondClub.tv is my preference these days, but dailytechnewsshow.com/live is just easy because Alpha Geek Radio is also there too, right? So I don't know.
I think, well, the nice thing about Daily Tech News Show is
URL.
it's the show name.
Yeah.
I think it's just easier for people to remember, but I want to do whatever we collectively want to.
Yeah. No, it's worth continuing to think about.
Okay.
Well, while you think about that, I'm going to have to make a move because I have to go and finish packing for my wedding.
Tell your brother to email me his address.
I will do. Yeah, I will do. He'll be in touch.
Okay,
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bye,
and thanks for
Nate.
setting that up.
Hope
Thanks
you
so
have
much.
such a great weekend. Congrats to you and your soon-to-be wife, and can't wait to hear how it went.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, you'll see some pictures on Facebook. I'm sure they'll be
Right on.
numerous.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait, Tom. Safe flight, man. See you soon.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What a good lad.
Oh, he's just a real sweet boy.
So, what should we call this episode?
You should end every episode, Tom, by walking through the false bookshelf behind you. Like, you pull a book and it rotate, and then you.
There's WooCoin, the cream of cryptocurrency. Oh, dirty crypto. Netflix and a higher bill. Gmall, Uber and out. Amazon is FedExed up. Amazon giveth and Amazon taketh away. Edge faithful. Appleification of Google. Nothing but Nate. Cream rises to the crypto top currency. Padding a borrowed legacy. Netflix and dollar bills, y'all. Kaspersky, the unfriendly ghost. That's pretty funny. Roll your own browse. Oh, it's great. Uber is appealing is appealing in London. Another brick in the wall. Killer apps and anti-rejection meds. Bitcoin and Killah, everybody's bills, yeah.
Bitcoin Killah. Baby, I got your Bitcoin, don't you worry.
All right. That's funny.
That's funny because you stopped.
Give me that crypto. Hey.
Man, I kind of like WooCoin seems to be
Beer. I
yeah.
had a cut and paste error yesterday. That's
You got to diversify your crypto wallet.
We spent so little time actually mentioning it in the show, but it is so rife for good headline.
Great, yeah.
I'm open. What do you want? What do you got? What do you feel?
Say hey.
It's getting married.
Gmall, WooCoin, Kaspersky, the unfriendly ghost.
That's
WooCoin.
mixing too.
Uber and out. I don't know, maybe some woo based title.
I like WooCoin. WooCoin.
WooCoin.
Yeah, that's
Sarah, what say you?
WooCoin.
WooCoin it is.
I'm into
The
it.
WooCoins have it. Motion
Oh,
carried.
the liquid swords of the WooCoin.
The WooCoins have it.
WooCoin.
Tom, when was the last time you were out in the UK?
The last time that I graced shores of one of my homelands would have been probably when I was going to Malta, I think, which would have been 2009. It's been a while. I don't think I've been since then.
And how long are you there?
5 days.
Too short. Just in time to get over your jet lag.
Different band. Someone just asked if I had. Someone just asked if I had this on the shelf. I don't. It's down here.
Down there. The Diamond Club.
Yeah, no. So I fly in tonight, or I fly tonight. I arrive tomorrow. Then I go up to Sudbury, go to the wedding, come back to London on Sunday night, then to Will's place on Monday evening for the show, and then I fly out Tuesday morning.
Dude. That's a whirlwind trip, my friend. A whirlwind trip.
Here's the thing. Part of the reason, not the entire reason, but part of the reason I scheduled it that way was because Eileen couldn't go.
Yeah.
Then it turned out she could.
Oh no.
So then she's booking flights and stuff. She's like, why are you only going for 5 days? I'm like, well, because you weren't going to be there. And I was just going to like drop in, boom, 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 get out. Also, I booked this before I think Sarah and I had even come up with the idea for her to go to the show.
You're right, because I remember as we were kind of like, okay, cool, life is good. And then you were like, oh crap, going to London for a wedding. And I was like, oh crap, I have to be at my cousin's wedding the same weekend.
Yeah, because that was another part of the reason was at the time I'm like, well, we'll have to scramble for co-hosts and stuff, but turns out we kind of do anyway, but not as it's a different feel.
I am super bummed that I cannot participate in person at Podfest just because I've not gone before. But I know that it's cool and it just has such a good lineup, especially this year.
God, right? I was
yeah, I'm just like, darn it. This would have been like it would be a really good time to represent DTNS. But Justin and everyone else, I know you'll hold it down in our honor.
It's gonna be pretty fun. I'm pumped that we have such a great crew. And it's gonna put me in LA to see Blade Runner with Andrew Main, which I'm
sweet.
That's cool.
Great. Yeah, Chris Mancini from the Comedy Film Nerds is great. He's awesome, and I feel horrible that I am not going to be there, but I'm very glad that you could fill the gap so that I'm not totally disappointing him by not having a show.
Oh no, it's gonna be great. It will be as great as it can be, at least without the lovely Sarah Lane and the very physically pretty Tom Merritt.
Well, you've got Kanata. He puts me to shame. So
I didn't want to just go on and on about it, but
let's just be honest.
The jawline on that guy alone,
the visage of Jeff Kanata, and the personality. I mean, let's not objectify the man. He's sparkling personality, intelligent. You won't miss me at all.
No, stop it. We will.
So Kanata's playing me, obviously. Who's playing Sarah?
Me.
Oh,
dyeing my hair. I'm growing it out by tomorrow.
That's so great. Congrats.
I'm gonna be wearing a very smart top. Great.
A smart blouse.
A smart blouse.
If you want to be like me, you say things like blouse.
Blouse. No, it'll be great. And it was funny because I actually hung out with Darren a little bit last weekend, and so.
Oh, good. So you guys planned everything. Great.
Sure. No, we have an easy rapport. Darren's in an awesome building down here in Oakland now, and he's got an amazing apartment now.
Oh, here. You mean for his home place? Yes, I know. I saw he showed me the address. I haven't actually been there, but I know that building. It's a nice place.
It's if you've been around this area, it's a hard building to miss. And apparently, we found out from his neighbors is where I'm not going to name the basketball team that plays in this area, but apparently that is where they like to put their first year, the first contract players.
Gotcha. For their temporary accommodations.
Well, not temporary. It's just like this is where they're like, hey, go spend your money here. It's like expensive for normal people, but for a rookie contract.
But you have an NBA contract, so you're fine.
Although apparently, Draymond Green eschewed living in this place and wound up living in the apartments near the Home Depot in Emeryville.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's some nice places over there. It's just not. I mean, it's not swank or anything. But
he wanted to save money, and so he moved into a place right by the highway, so it was easy to get to where he needed to get to. But well, apparently didn't like it. But as soon as he got his contract, his office rookie deal, he did what everybody does, which is move out to the hills.
Yep. Yes, Roger.
No. I was going to talk to Justin about tomorrow.
Okay. Well, let's get out off the air. Thanks everybody for watching. LA Pod Fest tomorrow, London on Monday, and then we're back on Tuesday here. We'll see ya.
See ya.